Let's go back to the slides. All right, cost volume profit relationship. So the cost volume is a powerful tool, as you can see. Help the manager to understand price per product, volume or level of activity, variable cost per unit, total fixed cost, and mix of the products sold. So that's when you have more than one product. This company, we're working with this company, and we're going to go through all the slides. We're going to go through this company, which sells bicycles. The contribution income statement is important because it's going to help you to understand what's the variable cost, what's the contribution margin, what's the fixed cost. The contribution margin should be high enough to cover the fixed cost, right? Otherwise, you're not going to generate operating income.
Yes.
So the question that you solved me, that you asked me before, once I see this information, can I go to the unit level and get contribution margin per unit?
Yes, you can calculate the contribution margin per unit.
So how much is my contribution margin per unit then?
On what information?
From this information, from right here, watching this contribution income statement, can I get a contribution margin per unit?
No.
Why not? Do I know how many units I'm selling?
Because, Professor, you are talking about your slide?
No, we're talking about the slide. Can you see the slide?
Oh, we are seeing the manager accounting, the cover page.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, the slides didn't move.
I-
Is that what it-
Oh.
Oh. So you don't see this.
No,
now
no,
I
we
can see.
didn't see that.
I see this. Okay, so sorry.
No,
That's the thing. So the computer doesn't move the slides. So can you see it from here then?
yeah,
Yeah.
now you can ask again.
Okay, so this is the contribution margin. So the cost volume profit relationship, again, it gives you the price per product, volume level of activity, per variable cost per variable cost per unit, total fixed cost, mix of the products. Now on these slides, you're going to see that this is the pure contribution income statement. On the contribution statement, we're going to go with this example through the entire slides. So that's why it's important for you to see it here and to understand it here. So what you can see here, we can get the contribution margin, and we already know as long as the contribution margin is high enough to cover our fixed expenses, we are okay, correct?
Yeah, we are on positive operating income.
Right. So the question that you asked me before on when I was doing the Excel spreadsheet, if I have the totals, can I get the per unit? Well, I'm asking you now, if you have the totals, can you get per unit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you get the contribution margin per unit?
Yes.
Yeah.
How much will be?
$250? No.
200.
200. How you get it? 100,000 divided by 500.
The unit we are selling.
Yes. It's going to be 200 per unit, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You can get sales price per unit. You can get the variable cost per unit. 500 versus 300. Going to give you 200. Easy. Can you get the contribution margin ratio? 200
Yes.
divided by
Yes.
200 divided by 500 is going to give you contribution margin ratio. Do I have enough information now to calculate either the number of units that I need to sell to go to the break even, or either the total sales that I need to be on break even?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
have enough information.
We have that information. That's it. We can do everything you want. You see how easy we can get those things. So let's see what's happened here. With these guys, they come up with the, okay, they're using what we're using and come up with the sales price per unit, variable cost per unit, contribution margin per unit, and get the ratios. Once you get those two, you can calculate whatever you want. Now, how we calculate the ratios? Obviously, for the calculation of the ratio, contribution margin divided by the sales, because sales are always 100%.
Yes.
And now the next thing that we need for the break even is the fixed cost. Once we know the fixed cost, we know the contribution margin per unit, we know contribution margin ratio, we can calculate everything we want. So that's why, how we're going to come up with the break even? Fixed cost divided by the contribution margin per unit is going to give you 400, which 400 will be the number of the bicycles that you need to sell in order to generate contribution margin, which is equal to the fixed cost.
Yes.
Right? So what's going to happen if I sell one additional unit? If I sell one additional unit over the break even, contribution margin from that unit is going to transfer directly to my operating income. And you already know that in your household. You're starting the month on minus 1,500, which is, let's say your rent is 1,500. Every month you're starting the month minus 1,500. You start going to work and you know, as soon as I reach 1,500, every dollar, additional dollar that I'm going to make over my 1,000, my rent, it's going to go to my pocket. Correct?
Yes.
I don't need to tell you that. So that having in mind, let's do one practical thing. I'm going to stop sharing this, and let's do one practical thing, so at least you understand how you can use the this cost volume profit analysis. I'm going to share this Excel spreadsheet. So still working with this formula and flip it here. Let's say, listen to me carefully. Let's say you're working, correct? How many of you working? Somebody who's working. Tell me somebody who's working.
I'm working.
I'm working.
What's your wage?
23.
23. Okay. Variable cost, for simplicity, let's keep it 0. How much is your rent?
950. Also.
950. I like this number. 950. So this is per unit. If you work 1 hour, correct? If you work 1 hour, you're gonna make $23. But your rent is 950. So how many hours? The question is how many hours you need to work to be at break even? How we calculate it? Fixed cost divided by what? Contribution margin per unit. So what's your fixed cost?
My fixed cost is 950
950 divided by
Divided
23.
So how many hours you need to work in order to be in break even? To cover your rent expense, in other words?
41.3.
1.3 hours.
Okay, let's see if that's true. 41.3. And this one was 950. Let's change the cells. So let's make this one to read from here, because these guys are not reading 78 here.
You have to remove the variable cost, Professor.
Yes, and 78. The variable cost here is 79. This should be 79. Here we go. So what that tells you?
Sorry, why variable cost was 79? I didn't get it.
Sorry? Why the variable? No, because the formula was incorrect. I'm reading for the wrong cells.
Oh, okay.
It was reading for the wrong cells. That's why it's like that. But now I make it read from the right cells.
Sorry. Okay.
So right now we have cells is equal to the hours. Hours that you spend, time the rate per hour. Variable cost we set is 0. Fixed cost we set is the same. 950, and now you break even. So the first 41 hours, how we can use this? The first 41 hours of the month, you working for your rent.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
After reach 41 hours and a half, then you start working for yourself.
For your food.
So it could,
That's how you can use this one for your personal use.
so we can also use it, for example, to find out how many hours do we work. For example, I get paid
Yeah.
like per
Yeah.
month.
The other option the other thing that you have here, if you want to have available $2,000 to spend per month,
Mhm.
and you already know that your fixed cost is 950, how are we gonna adjust in this formula? We can work with the same formula, but how are we gonna adjust it? We're gonna add here plus 2,000,
2000.
correct? So now the question is, how many hours I need to work? And you can easily go 950 plus 2,000 divided by the 23. What's the number that you're getting?
Oh, wait.
128.3. 28.3.
1.3. So if you work 128 hours, 0.3, you're going to get $2,000. Right? So the question is, how many days are this? You can easily come up with the days amount by this one divided by 7.5. How many days you need to work? 17 days per month.
That's our margin of safety.
That's margin here, right?
To survive in Vancouver.
No. The margin of safety. Hold on a second. Margin of safety. Don't make a mistake. That's not margin of safety. Let's
It's
go
break
with the
even.
margin of safety then. Margin of safety was when you're on the break even, right?
Yeah.
So here on 128. So what's the margin of safety in number of the hours? This one minus that one.
Mhm.
So 87 hours.
87 hours.
87
Okay.
hours. So as you know that you definitely have to work 41 hours. But if you want now less than 128, let's say 5 hours less, what's going to happen? You still going to have money for the rent, but your operating will start disappearing.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So where you on the sales on the margin of safety? You're $2,000 on the margin of safety, because in this case the variable cost is 0. And this one is easy. So if
So
you
the
stop,
difference will be, Professor, 2000 minus 950, right? The difference, if we want to.
yeah, because here our variable cost is 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we choose it for simplicity. Otherwise, it's going to get messy. But let's choose it this one for simplicity. What's going to happen if you increase the fixed cost? Then you're in trouble.
Yeah, then
Yeah,
I'm on
sure.
trouble.
You have to.
Then you're in trouble. So this is how you can use this information for yourself, so you can understand that what's the option here that you have. What's the option that you have here, people? Either you have to increase the hours that you're working, either you can increase the rate that you're getting. So
Or we can reduce the fixed cost.
you can or you can reduce the fixed cost.
That's another
You can-
option.
right?
That's a real life hack.
So this is the actual application of this particular chapter in your personal life. There's other chapters that they have another application, but we're gonna go to those one as well. So let's go here. So that's how you understand that every additional hour that you're working over the break even, it's going to give you the money that you're getting for that hour directly to your pocket. Once you cover your rent expense, every dollar that you're making over the rent expense is going to go to your pocket. So if you sell 430 bikes or 30 bikes more than the break even, how much will be your operating income? Obviously, the difference over the break even times the contribution margin per unit, it's going to give you $6,000. And that's the actual confirmation of that. So if you work, if sales at 300 units, you're losing money. If you move to 400 units, you're on the break even. If you go to 500 units, now you're 20,000. Why 20,000? Because you're selling 100 units above the break even, and contribution margin per unit is only
$200.
$200.
Yeah.
So 200 times 100 units, and that's transferred to 20,000. How are we going to express this with a graph? That's how we're going to express with the graph. You have to understand, when you're starting the month, you're starting it here because you have the fixed expense. You already start on minus. The fixed expense are way above ahead. Once you start the month, you have to start running, right? To catch the fixed expense. Once you catch the fixed expense, then you have to cover the total cost, which the total cost is now coming portion of the variable expense. Once you cover the fixed variable or the total cost, every single unit that you sell over that point, you're on the profit level.
Makes sense.
Sales always start with zero. Always going to start with zero.
Sure.
Fixed costs, you already have a jump start because those are fixed. Variable costs, as soon as you start your sales, the variable costs start. So what you have to do, you have to excel the sales to the point that cover the fixed cost and the variable cost. And after that, you start making money. This is the break even of 400 units. 400, since once you sell 400 units, you know, I can relax now. Now I can start making money. Right? So how are we going to go contribution margin ratio? Contribution margin, either you're going to work with the total numbers, either you're going to go with the unit number on the unit level. What the contribution margin shows you that for every dollar that you increase in sales, 40 cents or 40% of every dollar comes to your pocket. In our case, when we compare the hours, because we eliminate the variable cost, every dollar that you make, transfer directly to your pocket. That will be the same if you work in the unit level. You're going to get the same number. Now the contribution margin ratio, you can see, you can using these numbers on the total numbers. So if we increase the sales here, if we increase the sales is all the 20,000. Why? Because the 20,000 here increase is related to the 40% of increase of the sales. Sales increase with the $50,000. 40% of those $50,000 going to flow to your pocket or contribution margin. And once you cover the fixed expense, directly goes to your pocket. Let's do one quick check. Show me that you know how to calculate the contribution margin ratio. What took you so long?
Try to find my calculator.
Ah, okay. Don't you have a calculator on your computer?
Yeah, but it's not the same. It takes so long. Well, taking long in both options. I'm gonna do it by hand. Why not?
So, question for you: if you don't want to calculate it, is it possible contribution margin to be more than 1?
Contribution margin be more than 1?
Yeah, is it possible?
But it will affect the rest of the.
No. Yeah. So the calculation
Yes, it
is:
would
is it possible contribution margin to be more than 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
But
Sales 100%, people. Sales 100%. So you're
Mhm.
telling me if the contribution margin is more than 1, that means the contribution margin will be more than sales?
no.
Is that possible?
So no, it's not
No.
possible.
No. So automatically should do you understand this logic? Do you understand the contribution margin ratio? It's not possible to be more than 1. It just doesn't make sense. Why? Because sales are 1.
Hmm.
Contribution margin is part of that 1. Sales are you 100%. Either contribution margin will be exactly the same, 100 or 1, or it's going to be less than 1. But it's not possible to be more than 1. It's just not possible. Sales are 1. Sales are 100%. 100% means 1.
Okay.
Make sense?
Hmm.
Think logically here. I don't want you to go and go crazy with this. So once you know that, and you know the sales price is 149, and you know that the variable cost is 36 cents only, logically, is it possible your contribution margin to be only 24%?
It will be the 75 cents,
Yeah.
76 cents. Yeah.
Is it possible the contribution margin to be only 24%?
24%.
Obviously, it won't be possible because the variable cost is not 3 times of the sales price. 3 times it's 3/3 of the sales price,
Yeah, it's not possible to 24%.
right?
More than that.
So, if without even using my calculator, logical answer should be B.
Yeah.
I eliminate 1 and 4 because it cannot be more than 1. 24%, it's not possible because it's only 36 cents. If it was like 86 cents, then probably it might be somewhere in that range. So how you calculate it? 149 minus 36 divided by 149 is 0.0758 or 75.8%. That's your contribution margin ratio. How many of you get it?
I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
That's it, 1 person out of 30 people.
No, I don't get it.
You don't get it.
No.
And we can get two answers from the contribution margin per unit and
Do you
contribution margin
understand
ratio.
how to get the contribution margin ratio? Do you understand how to get the contribution margin ratio?
Yes. I
Yes.
do.
Yeah, unit contribution margin divided by unit selling price. Yeah.
Divided by unit selling. How many of you get the unit contribution margin?
I was in half of the operation.
I got it.
How much is the unit contribution margin then?
1.13.
1.13. How much is the unit sales price?
1.49.
1.49.
Okay. Guys, I understand it's early in the morning, but it's not so early anymore. It's 10:30, and we already went through some examples. This contribution margin ratio shouldn't take you like the time that you took here.
My problem was that I sum 1.49 plus. So
Well, why you so?
was my mistake? So I didn't get the
So what you're telling me? So what you're telling me? You're telling me this. You're going on this coffee shop, and you're buying a coffee.
yeah.
You want, give me one coffee, and what they say? Okay, that's your coffee, and how much in the price? $2. I'm giving $2 to you. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're not paying for the coffee. You're asking to sell you coffee, so they're selling you the coffee and give you $2.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's logic, right? You're
Right. One is sales, the other is cost. So those are the key formulas. So we're going to go through those key formulas. First one is the variable expense ratio. Variable expense ratio obviously will be the variable expense divided by sales. From here, once you know that, and once you know that the sales is 100, contribution margin ratio, you can calculate it either by the contribution margin divided by sales, either 100% minus the variable expense ratio.
Yeah. Got it.
Now the change, what's going to happen? Let's start changing now one after another. Since we know the break even, where the break even is, what can we do? The whole exercise here is this. Okay, I'm sitting in this company. I'm running the same scenario over and over and over and over again, and I know that I'm making $2,000. Is there anything I can do in order to move from that $2,000? And these people say, okay, first option, let's change the fixed cost. And we're hoping that the sales going to go up. So what they're doing is they're increasing the advertising with $10,000, and that increased the sales with 40 units. The question is that increase of 40 units in sales is enough to cover the advertising budget? How much was the contribution margin per unit for the bike?
1.1
$200.
200.
$200. So if I sell 40 more units, how much is the contribution margin I'm going to get?
8,000.
8,000. How much I'm paying for the advertising?
10,000.
Is it justifiable?
No.
No.
2,000
What
minus.
right now, if I'm making X amount of money, next month I'm going to make X amount minus 2,000. Why? Because I'm increasing the fixed cost with 2,000 more than I'm going to generate from my contribution margin. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see that implication. If you sell the current state on the $500, you make $2,000. If you go with the 540 bikes, then you go down with 18,000. So your decrease is exactly 2,000. Why? Because you're increasing the fixed cost with 10,000, but contribution margin only with 8. So basically, that's the formula that we did. We use directly this. So, but that's the proof through the income statement that we actually losing $2,000.
Yeah.
You can easily see it here, the shortcut. Contribution margin per unit 8,000, fixed expense 10,000. I'm already done.
For that, we don't have to do again the income statement.
Exactly. So here, what is the profit impact on the this company if they can use the higher quality material? If they're using the higher quality material, they're going to increase the variable cost with $10, but it will increase the sales with 80 units. Now, now since we're increasing the variable cost, what we're changing?
Contribution margin.
Contribution margin. Our contribution margin is going to go down, correct?
Yeah.
With $10.
Yeah.
So now we're going to have, instead of $200, we're going to have contribution margin 190.
Yeah.
So the question is, if we sell those additional 80, is that enough? So when we sell 580 units and we increase the variable cost, we generate additional $10,200, which are more than what we're doing right now. And since we're covering the fixed cost, we're going to generate, that's going to directly flow to the operating income. You see, currently we have contribution margin 100,000. Now we're going to we added $10,200. Those $10,200 are going to flow directly to our operating income. Why? Because we already covered the fixed expense. We were working above break even. Make sense?
Yes.
So next available kind of option to change the fixed cost, to change the sales price, and to change the volume. What we're going to do here? What's the profit impact on the company if we cut the selling price $20? Increase the advertising budget by 15,000, and our sales jump with 150 units. Since we reduce the sales price, what we change? Contribution margin, right? So now contribution margin instead of 200 goes to $180.
Yes.
But we're selling additional 150 units. Let's see if that's enough to cover the loss of the contribution margin first, and then to cover the additional fixed cost. Obviously, it is enough because we're generating $17,000 more than we used to do. $17,000 more. But we increase the fixed expense with 15.
Yes.
But 17s are enough to cover the 15 and generate additional 2,000. Next scenario. Change in variable cost, fixed cost, and sales volume. So this is very common thing which happens pretty much everywhere here because we in Vancouver we are in the sales business. Now these guys, when the profit impact pays, now they be paying $15 sales commission per bike sold. Instead of paying salesperson flat salary, $6,000 per month, and increase the unit sales from 500 to 575. So what we're doing here, salesperson is the salesperson if he get the flat salary, if he get the flat amount, if his salary, does he care how many units are sold?
No.
No, because he's gonna get his salary anyway.
Yeah.
If I'm selling more or selling less, I don't care. I'm getting my money, period. But if you cut his salary and put him on the commission, now does he care about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But you give him opportunity to make more than he used to make, right?
Yes.
So
Maybe.
he's happy and you're happy, right? So what's going to happen in this case? In this case, the reduction of the fixed expense, moving him from salary to hourly on the commission, actually make a positive impact on you because you're able to increase the contribution margin plus reduction of the fixed cost, so you're generating $12,000 more.
Okay.
Next scenario is changing the regular selling price. If this company has opportunity to sell 150 bikes to a wholesaler without disturbing the sales on the other customer, what price would ask the wholesaler if he wants to increase the monthly profit by $3,000? So the question here that we should ask ourselves is, how much contribution margin one bike gives me? 200, correct?
Yeah, 200 is contribution margin.
200. So if everything stays the same, how much contribution margin I should be able to get from these 150 bikes?
150.
Are you asking for the cost per bike?
No. I'm not asking for cost per bike. I'm asking is the question is, if I'm selling those 150 bikes in the normal course of action, how much contribution margin those bikes gonna generate? Since I know the contribution margin per bike is $200, and I'm selling 150 bikes,
30,000.
30,000. The thing is, I don't want the 30,000. I'm already above the break even.
Mm-hmm.
I know that every dollar that I generate, it's gonna go to my operating income, and I don't want 30,000. I want only 3,000 from those 150 bikes. The question is, how much should I ask him to pay me so I can cover my variable cost and generate 3,000? How much was my variable cost per unit?
Variable cost.
300.
No.
300.
300.
300. And I want to generate $3,000 from 150 bikes. So how many dollars I need to generate per bike?
So if I sell in 300 per
No. If I sell 150 bikes, if I sell 150 bikes, I want to generate $3,000. How many dollars I need from per bike?
20.
$20.
Yeah.
So if I sell the bike $20 above the variable cost, is this going to generate $3,000 contribution margin?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So how much you should sell him the bikes?
20.
320.
320. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So again, I need $20 per bike. I know the variable cost per bike is $300, so my selling price should be 320. If I sell it for 320, the calculation will be 150 times 320 for 48,000. Variable cost stays the same, 300 per bike or 45,000. I have increased in my income 3,000. Why? Because I'm working above the break-even point. Make sense?
Yeah.
So break even, you have two ways: equation method and formula method. The equation method is profit is equal to sales minus the variable expenses minus fixed expenses. And then you start working with this. Sales is equal to the variable expenses plus fixed expenses plus the profit. On the break even, we said the profit is 0. And we're working that now the sales is equal to variable expense plus fixed plus the profit is 0. And the total sales are equal to the sales price per unit times the number of units, variable cost per unit times number of units, plus the fixed cost. How can we express the number of units? Number of units will be equal to the Q is number of units, 500 is sales price per unit, 300 is variable cost per unit, 80,000 is the fixed cost. So how are we going to express the number of units? Number of units will be the fixed cost divided by contribution margin per bike. Or the break even will be at 400 bikes. That's your equation method. So the sales, it will be equal to 0.6, which is the contribution variable expense ratio time the sales plus 80,000. So how are we going to, here the X is the total sales, 60 is the variable expense ratio of sales, and 80,000 total fixed expense. So how are we going to calculate the sales here? Sales will be fixed cost divided by contribution margin ratio. Why? Because sales is 1 minus 0.60 of the variable cost ratio is going to give you 0.40, which is contribution margin ratio. The formula method is more simple. Break-even unit sales, fixed expense minus contribution per unit. Total sales, fixed expense minus contribution margin ratio.
That's a
The one that,
divided by.
yes, both are divided. So what you have to remember, fixed expense are always on the nominator side. Then for the units, you need contribution margin per unit. For the sales, you need the ratio.
Okay.
Right? So here, if we use it, what we're going to get? Fixed expense, which is 80,000, divided by contribution margin ratio. How much should be our total sales? $200,000. Let's check, let's do if you can see if you can apply those formula now.
Oh, I didn't take note.
You don't have to. You already know. Fixed expense divided by contribution margin per unit. Get the number of units.
So it's letter D, 1,150. I can
Excellent. Who is next one? I need one more confirmation on this number. You're correct. I'm just waiting for one more number. What will be the calculation? 1,300 divided by 1.113.
Yeah, 1,000. Yeah.
Good. Everybody get the 1150?
1150. Yeah.
Okay. Good. This is the explanation. So fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit. Sales. Let's go sales. Now, you're still going to use the fixed cost, but your denominator will be contribution margin ratio, which we calculate a few minutes ago. Was 0.752 or something.
It's 1715.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see.
1,750. Yeah. Letter B. Yeah.
Good job. So, target profit analysis. What was the target? Once we know the break-even, we're going to add whatever we want to make, and we're going to still applying the formula, correct?
Yes.
So these guys, they want to make 100,000. How many bikes they have to sell? Fixed cost plus the desired profit divided by contribution margin per profit. Per bike is going to give you 900 bikes. This is the formula method. Fixed cost plus the target profit divided by the contribution margin per unit. So tell me now, if I want to make 2,500 per month, how many cups I have to sell?
$3,800 divided by 1.13.
Okay, go.
3,363 cups. Letter A.
Okay. Somebody else get
363.
Good. That's correct. We're going to add the desired profit to the fixed cost and divide it by the contribution margin per unit. Margin of safety. What was margin of safety? Margin of safety, the excess budgeted to actual sales over the break-even point. So the total sales minus the sales at break-even. That's your margin of safety. If your actual results are sales is 250 and the sales over the break-even is only 200, 50,000 is your margin of safety in number of sales. In number of bikes is 100 bikes, you're selling 100 bikes more. You can express it as a percentage as well if you want. That will be margin of safety divided by the where you currently are. And that will be 20%. of the number of bikes again will be 50,000 divided by the number of bikes that you're selling, or 100 bikes, or the bikes that you're selling at current state minus the bike that you're selling at the point of the break even. Show me now what's your margin of safety if you're selling 2,100 cups. How many cups was for the break even? Remember?
Uh, 95 cups?
950.
Oh.
950? Is
Yeah,
that what you get?
950, yes, 95. Like, yeah, I just mean to say that, like, yeah, 95, 950 cups.
950, yes.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because the break even was 1,150 cups. And now you're selling 2,100. So you're
Yeah.
selling 950 cups above. Or you can express it as a percentage, 45% more than break even.
Then the break even. Yeah.
Yes. Now for the cost structure, you have to understand that cost structure basically represents a relative proportion of the fixed and variable cost in the company. So you as a manager, you have some ability to change that cost structure. How we can change the cost structure? To increase the variable cost and increase the fixed cost. That will be one way. If I increase the variable cost, what's going to happen with my contribution margin? Say that again, please.
Can you repeat it again, please, Professor?
If I increase the variable cost, what's going to happen with the contribution margin?
It will be lower.
It will be lower. If I decrease the variable cost but increase the fixed cost, what's going to happen with the contribution margin?
It will be higher.
It will be higher. So you understand now that there's a companies like a hotel business, you're running with the high variable of high fixed cost, but lower variable cost. So as soon as you hit the break even, the key here is as soon as you hit the break even, every additional customer is going to generate a ginormous contribution margin, which is going to flow to your operating income directly, correct?
Yes.
Right. But the key is the break even. So every additional customer over the break even is going to generate ginormous contribution margin, which is going to flow to operating income. However, if you lose one customer, you're losing the opportunity for that huge contribution margin. Make sense? So it's positive if it's positive if you increase the sales, but it's negative if the sales going down.
Yes.
So, but what's going to happen with the company? Let's say the company does grocery stores like a Real Canadian Superstore, which are not focused so much on the contribution margin per unit, but they focus on the sales. So they're gonna have product. They're gonna have a big portion of the variable cost and less fixed cost. So every additional unit is going to generate a lower contribution margin, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But if they lose that sale, do they care too much?
No.
No.
No, the break
Losing
even is,
one or two sales is not going to affect their operating income so much.
yeah.
So do you understand now the logic between when you have a high portion of the fixed cost and high portion versus the high portion of the variable cost?
Yes.
So operating leverage. Operating leverage, basically, that's the measure how sensitive net operating income is to the percentage increase in sales. So if I increase my sales with 5%, what's going to happen with the operating income? Obviously, if I increase the sales, I'm going to increase the contribution margin, correct?
Yeah.
So that's why we're using contribution margin in the formula. So we're going to get the contribution margin divided by the net income, and we're going to get the number. This is not dollar amount, nothing. It's just a number. And once we get that number for this company, let's say they're selling 500 bikes and contribution margin $100,000. Net income is 20,000. So the operating leverage is 5. What that means? Means that if my sales increase with 10% times 5, I should expect increase my operating income. Does that make sense?
I didn't get it, Professor.
So
repeat.
5, the operating leverage means, no, number 5 means if I increase my sales with 10%, 10 times 5, it will be increasing my operating income. So my operating income will increase it how much?
50.
50%. Let's see if that's actually true. So if we increase with 10%, our operating income should increase with 50%. So what's happened with the sales here? We're selling 500 bikes. Now we're selling 550. How much we increase the sales?
5.
50 more bikes. 50
units.
more bikes. How much is this as an increase in percentage?
500 plus.
Did we increase our sales with 10%?
We increase sale in 10%.
Right. So let's change the operating income. Is the operating income increased with 50%?
Yes.
Yes. So you see now,
Yeah.
the 10% increase in sales, it will generate you 50% increase in sales, in operating income, sorry.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's calculate the operating leverage for this company.
Oops.
149.
So you have to come up with the contribution margin first. When you're selling that many cups, and you have to come up with the operating income when you're selling those cups. You can work fastest way. Get the contribution margin per cup, which you already know, 1.13 times 2,100 cups. That's going to give you the contribution margin. That's the first number that you need. That will be your nominator. Then what you have to do, from that number, deduct the fixed cost, get the operating income. That will be your denominator. Get the number.
Minus
The professor, the A is answer like the 2.21.
I need confirmation on that number.
2.21.
Yeah, 2.21, I say.
Okay. Remember that
Yeah.
number.
What?
Remember this number? 2.21.
Yes.
Remember. So, question for you people. I'm thinking, is it possible this number to be less than 1?
no.
No, professor.
Right? So this once you know this logic, once you see multiple choice question with starting with 0, we automatically eliminate those answers.
Yeah, professor.
Right? You have to, I want you to be smart. So 2.21, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's going to happen if we increase the sales with 20%? What's going to happen with operating income? How much will be the increase?
%60.
Oh no, Professor.
It's
Like
the double, right?
no, the double. Like then
The
it's gonna be
double.
the 44.2%.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
will
that's
increase
exactly-
by 0.42.
What? So 20. Yeah.
We're going to use the 20% times 2.21 is going to give you 44.42.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you, Professor.
So to verify this, this is the calculation that verifies that increase with 20% in sales. It's generate 44.2% increase in sales. Now, in different analysis, is cost volume profit analysis also useful for aiding decisions about the comparative profitability, alternative products, and method of production. So, at what level of units sales would be indifferent between the two alternatives? You have to determine the unit contribution margin times the number of units plus the total fixed cost for each alternative. Then you have to set up an equation, and then you have to solve for Q, for the quantity. I'm not going to chase you on this one, so don't worry. In difference analysis, don't worry about that. Worry about the concept of the sales mix. Sales mix is very simple. I want you to understand it. So, sales mix is a relative proportion in which company products are sold. If my total sales are 100%, listen this. My total sales are 100%, correct?
Yes.
Always. I'm selling two products. And proportion is 2 to 3. What's the percentage of the first product? What's the percentage of the second product?
What was the proportion? 2 to 3?
2 to 3.
40-60?
40-60.
Yeah, 40-60. Yeah.
Everybody, how you get it?
100 divided.
Just the third part.
2 divided by 5 and 3 divided by 5, right? The proportion is 2 to 3. So listen to this. The proportion is 2 to 3.
Yes.
2 plus 3 give you 5. This is the total. So
Yeah.
2 out of 5 and 3 out of 5, correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that how you calculate it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you're comfortable with the proportion. So different products have a different selling price, cost structure, and contribution margin. So let's see this company. Now they're selling bicycles and carts. Now the bicycle having contribution margin of 40%, and the carts have contribution margin 55%. Now, when we combine the sales are always 100%, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So 100% is the sales. The question is, how much of the sales belongs to bicycle and how much of the sales belongs to the cart? Obviously, 45% belongs to the bicycles and 55% belongs to the carts. When we combine the totals, we calculating the total contribution margin. We don't care about the contribution margin that they're receiving. This is to come up with the break even when we're selling multiple products. That's the objective here, to get the break even when we're selling the multiple products. We're staying with the totals. We calculating the contribution margin ratio at the total level. Once we know the fixed cost, can we get the contribution, the total sales? So listen to this. Once we get the contribution margin ratio for the total sales, we know the total fixed cost. Can we get the total sales that we need to get the break even?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So once we get the total sales, and now we know the percentage of the bicycle and percentage of the cars, do we know how much sales we need to generate from the bicycle and how much we need to generate from cars?
Yes, we can do.
Yeah, we can do it. Make sense? That's what you have to do. So once you get the ratio, use it as a denominator, fixed cost on nominator, get the total sales. Total sales. Now the total sales play with the number. 45% of the sales we said we belong to the bicycle, 55 to the cars. Those are the sales that should be generated by the bicycles. Those are the sales that should be generated by the cars. And obviously there will be always some small error due to the rounding.
I have a question, Professor, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Chart. If we want to calculate the sales mix, can we calculate the sales mix from the information? The variable.
This one?
Yeah. If there was no sales mix. Yeah.
There was no sales mix, but we can get it by sales divided by total sales.
Okay.
Sales divided by total sales, right? That's how we get the percentages.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you get. So sometimes on the question, the multiple choice questions, you're gonna see the proportion. Sometimes you're gonna see this kind of type of question, right? It's gonna give you the total sales for one unit, from the other unit, for one product, the other product. Well, combine them together. 1 divided by 1 is the same logic, right? At the end of the day, it's the same logic.
Yeah.
Is it going to be 2 to 3 or 250 plus 300,000? Is the same. Combine them together, get the percentage of the first one, get the percentage of the fourth one.
Yeah, that's why it was a confirmation when I was doing the assignment. So that's why I just confirmed with you. Thank you.
Right. Either it's going to be given a ratio, either it's going to be given that kind of information. Again, you have to come up with the percentage. Once you come up with the percentage, then it's easy. Get the break even, use the percentage, distribute it to the first product, second product, you're there. Which are the assumptions? In order this cost volume profit analysis to work, we have to understand that the selling price is constant. Costs are linear, and those costs are divided into two variable, which are constant per unit, and fixed, which are constant in total. For the multi-companies, when you're selling the multiple products, sales mix is the same. We're not changing the sales mix. In the manufacturing companies, inventories doesn't change. So we're not building inventory, we're not relieving the inventory. Whatever is produced, that's how much is sold. This is the simplicity. It's here, and you have the cost volume profit analysis with uncertainty, but we're not going to spend time on that. Just to let you know that there's that kind of cost volume profit analysis. That's for me for today. Any questions for this? It's an interesting chapter. It's a very interesting concept of the cost volume profit analysis. I hope you understand it. Now, what I want from you is to go and practice it.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm going to post you the Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to post it in the Moodle, so you're going to have access to your Excel spreadsheet.
Thank you. Yeah.
For you. And you can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and practice.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that I want you to do from now on, to practice. It seems like a heavy stuff,
Yeah.
but as you can see, at the same time, it's not so heavy. It's very logical. It's very practical. I want you to use it.
Yeah, you're right.
Understand, if you don't use all the things that you're learning in the courses that you're taking, you're wasting your time. This is one of the things that you can use.
Okay.
Professor, the assignment 3, so the assignment 3 includes chapter 4, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's why
oh,
I was trying
which
to
one
finish the
sorry?
assignment 4.
Oh, yeah. You included that one, yes.
Okay. Because that's why I didn't start the assignment 3, because I know that I assumed that it will include chapter 4. So I will
Yes.
learn from you, then I will apply my knowledge there.
Yes. So if you don't have any more questions, enjoy the rest of your day. You
Thank
are
you,
next.
Professor.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
good day.
much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.